All right, welcome back to the War Room. I'm here with the usual culprits, Thomas and Bert. Boys, how we doing?
Pretty good.
Pretty solid.
Dope. I know we're all still recovering from the heartbreak of the Astros, but we're not going to talk about that.
Thank
We're
God.
not going to talk about that. So things we are going to talk about: NFL free agency and college football. That's
Trade
what we're here for,
deadline.
boys. Yeah, Sorry, I said free agency. Dadgummit. I said that 3 times in the pre-show, and I couldn't get out of my head, bro. My brain is cooked, but we're gonna keep pushing through, baby. Anywho, so yes, NFL trade deadline, and college football specifically. The playoff rankings just came out. We got a scandal on our hands, boys. A lot to dive into here. So yeah, let's kick it off with the trade deadline. Boys, what do we think is the first thing that kind of came off the radar? I kind of have one in the back of my mind that I think I know it's gonna be the first one, but I'll let y'all break it.
For me, I would have to say probably the idea of the rich keep getting richer in California. The infamous gold rush by San Francisco stealing the former number 2 overall pick, Chase Young, to add to that nasty defense and that freaking incredible offense. Like,
With them being the 49ers, that's kind of a pun.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of why I said it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, freaking Chase Young for just a 3rd-round pick. That's grossly that's crazy. So if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, you just blow it up at that point. Literally.
Yep. Agreed. Yep. No, and well, let's just talk about the Commanders in that state too, right? Like, okay, I get it.
Bert might have something, Cole, on that.
No,
right, go ahead.
I was just gonna say something along the lines of it makes sense, right, from a 49ers perspective. Just judging off the past 3 weeks, you're definitely noticing that there's not enough there. There's a lot of stuff going on with the offensive side of the ball with Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. There's a lot of injuries and stuff.
You got Debo out. That's a problem.
Stuff out of the 49ers' control happening, but I think there's just this sense of all cards are all in. You're the only competition that really the 49ers, I think, have a arguable area of competing with is Philadelphia. And going and adding another talent just adds more ammunition to your arsenal. That's already a stacked defense between Nick Bosa,
Fred Warner.
Go down the list. So I don't know.
In the defensive backfield too. He's really good.
As a Cowboys fan, kind of, it sucks. It really does, because let's be honest, it sucks because you know for a fact those are going to be your teams that you have to go through. It's San Francisco and it's Philadelphia, and it's another guy.
Yeah, no, but I think that we have to look at the Commanders side of this too. I honestly, I had heard the rumors about hey, Chase Young's not working out, all this other stuff. We need to sell him while he still may have a high price. Well, you didn't get the high price. He was the 2nd overall. I forget. He was the top 5 draft pick, right?
Second.
He was the 2nd.
Yeah. So you convert a 2nd overall draft pick that, let's be honest, he's still very talented,
Just injuries.
Yeah.
Literally just injuries.
The first year it was just he had the abdominal injury, if I remember correctly. That was the thing.
I don't know.
He was or what?
He was a wrecking ball, and then towards the end of the season, he either tore his ACL that year, or it might have been something like that. But I know he missed his 2nd season with an ACL.
I think it was what was that?
I don't even know.
The
Let's
show is
just-
going off the rails.
Let's just keep going.
I just want to put it on the record. I did not permit, for those that actually watch this, God help them. I did not permit those balloons into our airspace.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the first warning. Next time we shoot them down. Anywho, yeah. So you have to think about with the Commanders, right? You know, okay, if for whatever reason we really think it's that bad that we got to blow it up, if you're like, I just don't understand how you only get a third round pick for him. Like, I
Exactly.
really don't.
That's where you
Look-
see
look-
big goal.
Look at
Like at that point, just let it go.
Look at Washington's division though, because you're playing in a division with both the Cowboys and the Eagles and the Giants. Of those 4 teams, where do you stack up? 3? I don't know. 3.
The Giants are
I would.
irrelevant.
I'd say you're definitely either 3 or you're 4. I don't know where you put things in that order, but the likelihood of you making the playoffs in that division is not high. So it makes sense to blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because think about it. Philly is set to go for several years. Same thing with Dallas.
Well, let's see about Dallas.
So what? You're just not going to be competitive on the defensive side of the
Well,
ball for 5 years. I just like when you have someone that young too. Like he's what? This is his 3rd year. Yeah, 3rd year. Like
no, this is his like 4th year because they declined his 5th year option.
I thought he was drafted 3 years ago. I guess I could be wrong, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it makes a huge difference if it's 3rd versus 4th year, but
It
still,
doesn't matter.
He's still
He's
so
in the
young.
Contract years, basically.
Yeah. That's the other thing is you're trading him in a contract. You're like, dude, just let him play it out. I mean, I don't know.
My thing is that if they should have fully, because you had Sweat going for a 2nd round pick to Chicago. Then I saw that little.
So, hey, you just got to acknowledge it. You got to acknowledge it, bro.
But I'm surprised.
Now he's going where all careers go to die right now, and that's Chicago.
I'm surprised they didn't trade Terry McLaurin to a contender. Or
so that's what I don't get is you're going to hold Terry hostage, but you're going to get rid of your younger, really talented guys.
Yeah, that's what doesn't make sense because it's not like their offense is any better than their defense.
No, it's worse.
So I don't know. Sam Howell isn't the guy. I don't know. The Commanders were sus. Magic Johnson. I don't know what he thinks he's doing in that front office, but it's not looking good.
I mean, when you hire Ron Rivera as a coach, you're kind of waving the white flag in general, in my opinion. I mean, things didn't work out with him in Carolina. What did they think was going to happen in Washington?
You just forgot to sign Superman Cam, man. That's his guy.
Hey, he made it work with that dude for a long time, but you're also leaving out Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, Steve Smith, Julius Peppers at one point. Just a couple other just minor, inconsiderate, players. Definitely not 3 or 4 different Hall of Famers. But anywho,
my real question is just more along the lines of if you're going to blow it up, especially a player like Chase Young that's really young, it kind of seems like kind of a Bill O'Brien. It's like all you got for him was a 3rd rounder. I would assume you would get at least a 2nd, if not a 1st. I mean, he went 2nd overall. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to not get capital for your guys, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
There might be a lot of either, Bert. I don't know if they know either.
Oh,
there might be a lot of firings coming in the next couple of days or hours on that one.
Most definitely.
I don't know if Rivera's going to be around another year or two. It's not looking good.
At the rate that it's going and what you get for Chase Young, I mean, the GM as well. I mean, there's a lot of issues there.
I do want to point out another team in the NFC is getting richer because we forgot we were so focused on the deadline we forgot about a trade that happened a couple days before. with Kevin Byard, All-Pro Kevin Byard, getting traded to the Eagles.
I forgot about that. That's the stud safety for the Titans, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's a 2 or
Or is
3
he
time
corner?
All-Pro
Yeah.
safety. So you're gonna have, dude. Let's count this off. You're gonna have Brandon Graham all day. Was it all day Slay? Darius Slay back there. You're gonna have Kevin Byard. You're gonna have Fletcher Cox. You're gonna have who else is on that defense that's a Pro Bowler? Oh, who's the guy from Georgia? I know you have
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. Then you have oh my gosh, no, it's
another
Jordan
Georgia guy.
Davis.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
That's
what I was
it.
thinking
That's
of.
it.
Dude, that team, since San Francisco, had their little thing, their little slid, I would have to say this. The Philadelphia Eagles is the most complete OP team they're literally like a Madden franchise right now.
And they also brought in Julio Jones.
They're literally a Madden
and he's
franchise.
not even
He's
Julio
not even
Jones
their wide
isn't
receiver
even
2.
top.
He's a wide receiver 3.
He's wide receiver 3. That's
They're
ridiculous.
basically using him like how the Saints are using Jimmy Graham. They just, okay, we're in the red zone. All right, put him in there. He's a big body.
Yeah,
Throw him in there. Yeah, he literally had one reception last week and it was a touchdown.
Dude, it's crazy. It's nuts to me. Like, here again, this is a Madden franchise team when you think about it. You have Jalen Hurts, a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, fantasy-wise at least, who can make plays on his feet and can throw the ball. You have A.J. Brown, who's probably an arguably top 3 receiver this season. You have Devontae Smith, who's probably the 1B to A.J. Brown's 1A, who will be a number 1 receiver on another team. You have
former Heisman Trophy winner.
Thank you.
Just
you have
Julio
Jones as that red zone threat. You have Dallas Goedert out of the tight end position. You have DeAndre Swift, who was freed from purgatory in Detroit. And you have a top 3, if not the best O-line in football and you could possibly think of. Not to mention, you go to the defensive side that we just mentioned, All-Pro safety Kevin Byard, probably this season the best corner in the league in Darius Slay. You have just an absolute freaking stud front with Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, like Brandon Graham, a linebacker core who's not, no one that should be knocked. I mean, this is literally a Madden franchise. You would think that they would have like 8 or 9 85-plus players on their team. Like,
well, I guess that's what happens when you lose the Super Bowl. You just go screw it. I'm getting everybody.
Screw them picks, man.
Screw the picks. Well, we touched on Tennessee. Not to get too off topic, but is Levis that guy?
Levis is. We'll see, because
he came in there.
Your sample size isn't too great right now.
Yeah, it's not great. But then when you think about it, he also didn't play against a terrible defense, especially secondary wise. And he was.
I think all that Tennessee cares about right now is one question: did he get D-Hop the ball last week? Big yes.
Yeah, my fantasy team would agree.
Yeah, you had D-Hop, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So your boy immediately signed Will Levis as on the waiver wire the day. Well, I had to wait till Tuesday after Monday Night Football. So 2 days after I saw that, I was like, okay, well, literally, I broke in our podcast fantasy league. Shout out to the boys that are in that, by the way. I had a 5-game losing streak. Actually, no, I went 1-1 and then won my third game, then lost 4 in a row. Was 1 game away from being last place. And then I finally broke the streak this weekend, only to find out on Tuesday that literally half of not just my starters, half my entire team is on bye week. Let's not forget the fact I've already had 3 players out for the season. Okay. No, I mean, come on. So yeah, it's been tough times for the fantasy, but like Brock Purdy was out. So was my backup. So I had to bump out Kenny Pickett, put in Will Levis. So I am all on the Levis train right now because he is all I have.
I picked him up in my league. Because you know why? I was starting Mr. Deshaun Watson. He ain't done nothing for me this season.
Well, and he didn't play last week either, right?
Yeah, because of a little bruise. Freaking depression, man.
Bro, it's been a rough one for me, dude. I've never had a season where every game I've been projected to win because I keep making the right moves, and also I drafted freaking really well. But I keep having these random injuries. I had Anthony Richardson at the start of the season, so for 2 games I was freaking lighting it up. I had Christian McCaffrey. I did have to deal with the Jahmyr Gibbs issues.
Hey, you're benefiting now, so it's all good.
Ever since David Montgomery got hurt, I've been a very big beneficiary. But the moment he comes back, I'm worried it's going to be the same thing where it's the same old Dave Campbell. Hey, we really got a good back, man. We better not use him, man. So, I don't get it. I love Dan Campbell, especially as an Aggie, because he was a fantastic Aggie tight end for us. Played in the NFL, long time. But, dude, what is it with getting a fantastic running back in the first round and then not using him?
Top 15 pick too, but that's a great question. You want to hear some pain? I had James Conner and Devin A-Chain get hurt. And I'm in a 16-team league, and I started off the league with Deshaun, Bijan, Connor, Keenan Allen, A.J. Brown, and an irrelevant tight end, and then a great kicker, and Dan Carlson, and a good defense with OBJ, Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, Devin A-Chain all on my bench.
I picked up A-Chain. I picked up A-Chain on the waiver wire. So I had a good 3 weeks with him, and now he's on my IR. I'm just praying he comes back.
Dude, A-Chain is averaging 12.1 yards a carry before he got hurt.
Yep, it was amazing.
That's nuts, but
it was amazing. Believe it or not, I still found a way to lose those games when I had him. And he put up a 48 piece in one of them. Just imagine
51.
That. Well, yeah, a 48 and a 51. Well, no, depends on if you're
51. It was 51 because I had him on my bench that week.
Are you PPR?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, 51.
Cool. But I don't know. The moral of the story is freaking the rich keep getting richer in the NFC, and we might as well
keep losing in fantasy.
Yep, we might as well have
the exception
Super Bowl as the NFC Championship game this year.
Yeah,
you're saying because whoever wins that is going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in regards to Chase Young, like him personally for his career, I think this is such a win, dude, because he's in a contract year, right? As long as he can play the rest of the season, he'll get some extra games in the playoffs, right? So that's even more film for him to kind of bargain with when he goes to the negotiating table with whoever team he wants to sign with, or he can see if he can work out a deal to stay in the 49ers and just keep running it back. But now you're going to get some more film with better looks because he's going to go from the number 1 threat to the number 2, which means he's probably playing on the left side of the ball a lot, playing against right tackles. Not always dealing with the best left tackle of every team. Or more importantly, just getting different looks, not getting double teamed all the time. You can start racking up some sacks because they're going to have to divert some more attention to Nick Bosa than him, just off of historic numbers at the moment. But the dude can. He's athletic enough to light it up, and he's that good of a player as well. So, I predict this is going to be a really important moment in his career for him to market himself and set up a 3 to 4 year deal. So, I think it's good timing for him. I think he and Nick Bosa will work very well together.
They were teammates in college.
Can't forget that either.
At Ohio State.
Yep, can't forget that either. So, Yeah, I'm excited to see it. So we'll see how it goes. But I honestly I think that was one of the largest moves is for both sides really, because almost like this kind of the Commanders' final wave of the white flag, and also then kind of just flipping the bird to Terry McLaurin. I don't know why they still have him. They better deal him in the offseason at this point. He doesn't deserve that. He's already 26 plus or minus one. I don't
He's
know.
in his prime, and he's not getting
Yeah.
any targets.
Yeah.
So
It's stupid. So yeah. Anywho, moving forward. All right, college football, the rankings. The rankings for the first playoff rankings came out. Is that correct, Bert?
Yeah, I have them right here. You want to hear them?
yes,
Oh
please.
yes, I
All
know
right.
exactly who's not gonna be there.
All right, number one, I'll just do top 10. Ohio State, number one. Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Washington, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma, and boo, Ole Miss. That's going to be your top 10. Can't believe Georgia's not number one, but actually I can. What do you guys think about that? Georgia being number two and Ohio State being number one.
I think I don't feel like Ohio State has been crazy, and neither has like Georgia. Like I feel like they're kind of like in the same like tier, but I don't feel like it's been like super. Oh, like this is clearly like the person over Georgia or whatever. I feel like Georgia should still be one, but not like. But they've both had like bad games here and there, but I don't feel like it was enough to like move them. If that makes sense.
I get where you're coming from. I think what you're trying to say is Georgia has won the national championship 2 years in a row. Until I think that buys you kind of a deal where unless you have shown significant reason that you need to be moved anywhere else on the ranking, unless you have shown that your spot is solid at one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason why you've seen this move and Ohio State move up to number one is, frankly, when it comes to competition. I mean, if you look at who Ohio State has played, one of the big names is going to be Penn State, right? And I know I only said through the first 10, but right at 11 is going to be Penn State. Now, Ohio State still has to play Michigan at number 3, so I think Ohio State is going to get their chance to really prove themselves to whether they are that number one team and deserve that ranking. Georgia, on the other hand, I think Georgia still, so believe it or not, I think Georgia actually is going to play Ole Miss later in the season. They also have to play Tennessee coming up here in a few weeks. Ole Miss is going to be at number 10, and Tennessee is going to be at 17 right now. So Georgia is still going to have their path to get through. And let's not forget, Georgia still has to play in the SEC championship game, which is likely going to be against Alabama or possibly LSU. So that ranking, this is always how it is on the first ranking of the season. When the playoff comes out with their top 25, you can basically put just a big asterisk by it. It means nothing. A lot of the teams, a lot of the season still has to get played out. Nothing is set in stone, and all these are very much in flux. I mean, I can't believe you have Washington sitting there at 5 and Oregon at 6. I mean, both of those teams I think should at least be getting talked about a little bit more. It seems like we've just written everything off.
Well, both of those teams are definitely playoff caliber teams. They're both just playing incredible football. The game the game those two hashed it out at was incredible, and it just came down to almost a coin flip per se at the end. It was insane.
So my thoughts on that game in particular is as we've seen, these past couple of weeks play out since that game between Washington and Oregon, I think we've seen Oregon kind of become more favorable in the rankings than Washington. I think I've seen more reasons to like Oregon than I have to like Washington, even though Washington won that game.
I like Washington way more though, because when you think about it, you have Washington played them this year and they beat Oregon, right?
Yes, it was a very close game, but
just to remind myself, think about this. So you also have to think about it from the like the Heisman narrative as well.
yeah,
It's like when you think about, I'm surprised actually, or Washington isn't number 4. Because what's their record? Are they undefeated?
8-0.
8-0. I would
But
have them
that's
over,
the problem.
I would have
That's
them
the
over
problem.
Florida State though, and drop Florida State at 5. Because who has Florida State played?
Their biggest guys would
LSU.
be LSU.
14.
LSU. What about UNC? When does Florida State play UNC? Because that's going to be
I don't know,
probably
but
the next biggest
I know
game.
UVA beat UNC, so in reality, UVA is the
Fair
number 10
enough.
team in the country.
So here's a thought. Maybe it's an exercise for your brain.
I don't
Say
need more
Florida-
exercise for my brain.
Say Florida State loses a game anywhere in their schedule. Do they make the college football playoff?
Absolutely not.
No, typical ACC team.
Dude, absolutely not. Again, Washington should be number 4 right now because they have the Heisman front runner in heading
Michael
their
Penix.
program, who is leading that team in an undefeated season, playing freaking way better teams than Florida State. You had them play Oregon, who routed Colorado, who freaking did they play USC?
I'm not sure.
Colorado?
I'm not sure about that game. Oregon. I'm not sure if that's happened yet.
No, they
I
have
don't
not
think
played
it's
USC
happened.
yet.
But long story short, Washington is playing freaking killers in the Pac-12.
Hey, Utah is freaking good too.
Well,
And
that's the thing
they upset
too.
USC again.
Last weekend Oregon went into Utah and just absolutely blew the doors off of them.
I know, but I'm saying, but Utah, beat USC, and that was a big deal. But USC was also a playoff contender until that moment too. The Pac-12
The Pac-12 is just it is a.
You know that scene I think it's from that show called The Community, where like there's that big, it's like half party, half like there's something on fire, and Donald Glover just comes in with a pizza, and he's like, that's like the current state of the Pac-12. It's just complete chaos right now.
I think you're starting to see like some teams break through. One kind of shocking team I think in the Pac-12 is Oregon State. I mean
Washington State?
Well, that game between Oregon and Oregon State, I mean that game has some. What is that? The Civil War?
Yeah,
I believe that's that bowl game. The Civil War. That game has some real potential to have some very heavy implications on it.
Imagine if they knock off Oregon.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the other thing that's crazy to think about here. And I'm sorry to get into this conversation because there's better things to talk about. But Oregon State still doesn't have a spot. The Pac-12, they don't have a spot next year.
Oh.
With the Pac-12 disbanding. College football.
Get a bid in like the Big 10 or Big 12 or something.
Yeah, Big 12's probably like, come on down. We need somebody.
Seriously.
We've taken all the
the
D1 David Lay schools we can.
The more that I think about it, the more I think it is a wise man whose name is Stephen A. Smith once says, it's just blasphemy that Washington isn't at least number 4 over Florida State. Because again, you see the record, they're playing in a harder conference than Florida State. They have more top 5 or top 10 wins, I bet you Oregon would rout Florida State.
All right.
I agree.
Okay. I tend to think you're correct there. I think Florida State should probably be moved down. But if
Again,
we want
I
to
think they
talk
should be
about
5.
if we want to talk about strength of schedule and not playing teams, we need to talk about Michigan as well.
But they're already in the playoff. We're talking.
We need to look at Michigan. Talk about Michigan. They have not played a single team this entire season. It is literally. I could basically sum up Michigan's seasons in 2 words: the game. If they win, they're in.
Mm-hmm.
That's so unfair to teams like Washington and Oregon, who are sitting there at 5 and 6, even Texas at 7 and Alabama at 8. I mean, this idea of
Bama were stretching it. Bama were stretching it because they haven't looked that good.
Watch this though. What if Alabama wins out?
Hey,
though?
Michigan's still got to play Penn State though.
They do. That is this weekend, I think, as well.
So
2 weeks. 2 weeks. They
I'm
have
off.
Purdue this next week.
I wouldn't eat for Bama. They have not looked good. They should have lost to A&M. They should have lost to Arkansas. I think if anything, they'll just miss it, but there's no shot. Even if they win out,
if they win out, yes, they will. There's no reason. If Alabama wins out, they'll be in the playoff. Because that would have meant you beating Georgia.
But then if Georgia drops, then Washington goes in if they win out.
That's fair, but then you're looking at
Oregon.
But then Ohio State and Michigan still have to play as well. So you're looking at maybe 3 to 5 teams that have 1 loss that are trying to bid for 3 and 4.
See, gentlemen, let's just pause real quick. This is why I can't wait for the 12 team playoff.
We don't have to do this.
There's nothing more that I hate, especially since it screwed over A&M 4 years ago. There's nothing more that I hate than having to sit around and listen for freaking 2 weeks after the regular season's over and listen to all of these talking heads and all these Twitter ranters sit there and make a case for anywhere between 4 to 8 teams of why they should be in, and it turns into a freaking football team pageant that's based, just based off of all this other. I mean, for all we know,
my loss is better than your loss.
Vibes, it's like, look, are we going off of vibes or are we going off of just here's the conditions, right? The conditions should be: are you undefeated helps, but did you win your conference? Great, you're in. No questions asked. Okay, outside of that, now we'll have like 5 teams left to debate on, right?
So
I guess what's interesting now that we'll lose one of the Power 5 conferences, and from what I've heard, because of the fact that the Pac-12 is still in the process of disbanding or whatever, however it sorts out, they're waiting to redo the 12-man playoff thing. My guess is then you'd have only 4 teams that are automatically in and then 8 teams to debate about. But at least at that point, you can just tell them you didn't win your conference. So then you after that, it's just a dice roll. You deserve it to be in the dice roll category. But in this case, you can have 1 or 2 teams that could win a conference and have 2 losses or something like that. Like Pac-12, that could happen. Big Ten, probably not. Who knows? SEC, that could happen because you can have an Alabama or an Ole Miss walk in there and be a 2-loss team, but beat Georgia, and then it's like, who do you send? Do you send a 1-loss Georgia, or do you send a 2-loss Ole Miss or Alabama? I definitely wouldn't send Bama this year if I were them. I wouldn't. Like A&M should have beaten Alabama. That was the easy. That game was the. And I've watched a lot of Aggie football. That was the most amount of shooting in the foot. Like A&M doesn't have a left foot at this point. They shot so much of it off. Like they shot off all 5 toes. They shot off like all the way up to the ankle. Like it's just gone. So it's fine. I'm fine. But anywho, that Bama team is the weakest Bama team we've seen in probably the past 2 decades. So even if they win that SEC championship, I predict if that scenario happens, we may end up with the first college football playoff with no SEC team. They will send Washington or Oregon over that, and then the winner of the Big Ten championship, probably Florida State, and then whatever else happens after that. I think it's just going to get shuffled down because I don't know. Anywho, we're getting hypotheticals here. I just can't wait till where we just have the rule of, okay, conference championship and you're in, and then everyone else, okay, we're doing the pageantry for that. And at least at that point, you're competing for, you're having to listen to people talk about 11th and 12th in there. And it's like, hey, at this point, look, if you didn't take care of business, so, this is the price you pay. So whatever.
I know I
hate the pageantry. I don't want to listen to Coach Street anymore.
Spoken like a true Aggie.
He hates us just as much as we hate him.
We're not getting into that tonight. Sorry. We're not getting into Aggie football tonight.
We're not getting into Aggie football. It's too depressing. Anyways,
all right.
Continue, Bert.
On the same subject of college football, let's talk about Michigan and the whole sign stealing deal. Basically, for those who do not know, Michigan kind of got in trouble earlier this week. Was it this week or was it last week? I can't remember.
It was probably
2 weeks ago, I think.
Just say
2 weeks ago. So basically what was happening was you have a person within the football department of Michigan going to other conference teams' games and filming their coaches on the sidelines, which was supposedly against the rules. I don't really know what I think about this. I tend to say that if you can steal signs from the stands, I think that's a very much of an indicator. I mean, at that point, I mean, who can't steal signs?
Yeah.
I mean,
who freaking cares at this point?
Well, here's the thing. People were already outraged. Oh, they're sending someone down to other people's games that don't have Michigan in them to watch them and take note of signs. I'm like, so you mean like scouting? Yeah, they're scouting them. Oh, it's cheating.
Yeah.
No, I mean, because at that point, then are you going to ban any person that's employed at some kind of coaching position from going to any football game, college related, the rest of their career? Well, no, it's just stupid. How do you govern that? And more importantly, I think the rule should be: look, as long as you're not trying to pull a Patriots from 15 years ago and try to tap in, illegally film them with video cameras at the practices and stuff like that to steal signs that way.
And another team that we won't mention. Maybe a little.
I don't know who you're talking about. No, I
don't acknowledge it.
All
right.
No, but AJ Hinch was immediately questioned upon this report and apprehended. So he's in jail. Anywho,
again, whole thing, I don't think it's. I feel like it's getting blown way out of proportion than it should, because it's, again, like you said, if it's at practices, that's one thing. But if it's at games where it's publicly televised, it's like, at that point, it's kind of like, if you're using all your tools at your disposal at that point. It's like,
and look, in regards to the translations, look, there's a reason that you put your coordinators in the booth and you've got the radios, you've got the.
So did you hear?
You have signs for a reason. Like there's ways to mass communication for a reason, right? Like that. The other team during the game that you're playing is looking for keys in which they can try to get an edge. Like that's just part of the game. That's why the coaches have to make this kind of system and continuously change it. So if you're complaining about it and you honestly think someone's getting an advantage off of you, sounds like you've got some more homework to do.
So where things start getting hairy with this whole sign stealing deal is supposedly Michigan, and you're starting to get into the alleged portion of the allegation. Basically, Michigan was going off and hiring code breakers to go in and try to steal some of the signs on the plays. And not only that, I think there was some rumors that they were potentially, auctioning off some of that information to other teams.
Now where it gets sketchy.
That's where it's sketchy.
Because
So
like that like people want to talk about players back before NIL existed, like profiting off of the game and stuff like that. This is a different and much dirtier way to profit. And I'm sorry, that's just that is the definition of, hey, can you copy my homework but make it look just a little bit different? Just
I cannot speak to the truth of those. I think you're starting to get into the college football metaphorical universe.
Yeah, this may be like the third or fourth comment on the post instead of just the first one, so the legitimacy just goes down a little more as you go. Yeah.
I do have to ask, what effect does this have on Harbaugh? Do you think this might be a way of trying to push him out the door, maybe to like the NFL, possibly?
Bro, Harbaugh's chilling either way, bro. He'll
be fine regardless.
Yeah,
but
he has success in the NFL. He's gone to the Super Bowl. It's not like he can't get another job like that.
Well, the question becomes is Michigan has been to very close to the mountaintop, but it always seems that they run into issues when it comes to the college, like round one of
they've got to find a way, dude.
And so
I don't know how many more years Harbaugh's got continuing the same thing.
Well, my question becomes is an allegation like this, is it a means of Michigan kind of keeping the door kind of cracked to potentially letting Harbaugh kind of slip out the back?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, we watched this dude kind of just come in and do his own thing with the sign stuff. You never know, but yeah.
I don't know what to think about this whole deal. I think you're going to start, depending on how Michigan's season plays out, I think there's a chance this could be blown out of proportion. There's also a chance that this kind of just goes away. Nothing really becomes of it.
Well, I mean, heck, when he had the recruiting issue at the start of the year, and you have the team holding up doing a special formation for him like he was dead. Like, the culture down there is crazy, dude. Like, it was just why I was like, why are you doing a special formation and holding up a 4 to honor Harbaugh for being out for recruiting violations? Like, he's not dead, he's not hospitalized. Like, if anything, he's getting paid to not do anything, and he sent his own dad in there, like a straight G to coach for him. He's like, hey, I can't do it, Dad. You go down there. If you get a FaceTime call, listen to it. Like, come on, dude. Like, I don't know why the NCAA didn't step in. It's like, hold on, you're gonna send your dad, dude? You don't think that we know you're just going to give him an entire like algorithm to go off of and then call him if he doesn't follow it? Like, what's going on? But anywho, yeah, wild things going on in the college football world, fellas. And yeah, I think that's where we're going to have to end this one. Boys, I'll see you guys next week. Good talking ball, good talking NFL, good talking college football, and about ready to gear up for another weekend of college football in which either great highs or terrible, terrible lows. It's Ole Miss this weekend, or as Bert calls them, Ole Piss for the Aggies. And let me just tell you, it's a very, very much a personal game for us. But at the same time, we have terrible luck playing Ole Miss. They've got our number every year. It's been terrible. I hope they change it, but I have a feeling we're gonna come back with another post-Aggie game depression story. So I'll be prepared, boys. Anywho, see y'all next week. Signing off.